Meredith.
Yes, indeed.
COVID notwithstanding, right?
Right. I know. Hi, Steve. Good to see you all.
So, Leslie,
Yeah.
I believe we have everyone except City of Arcata. I'm not seeing their
That's-
rep.
I'm
Mary.
City of Arcata.
There she is. Okay. So I believe you got everybody, Leslie.
Great.
And then real quick, just before we start, this is Laurel and I'm your note taker for the evening. For the sake of my sanity, could you all please announce your names when you're making a motion or seconding so that I can make sure I get down who's doing what.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
And just for,
Madam,
I don't
Sorry?
see Robin before, as you go forward here. Robin Smith is,
I was just wondering if we had someone here instead.
He was in here earlier. I think he might have just got disconnected, or at least I thought I saw him.
I think that was Eureka Robin.
Oh, I think you're right, Leslie or Lisa or God, Linda.
Linda.
Eureka
Eureka
the L.
Robin is here.
You had the L right.
Eureka Robin.
There she is. It's Eureka Robin. There she is.
Yes, Eureka Robin.
Well, we do have quorum. We'll go ahead and get started. Does anyone have the capacity to text Ferndale Robin? Sorry. And just to check in with him, I do not have, let me see. I don't think I have his number.
Madam Chair, while you're looking,
I can send him an email if you would like, Leslie, so you can get the meeting going.
Perfect. Thank you. His number.
and Madam
welcome,
Chair, if I
Steve.
might, through the chair, yes, I was appointed as the member this week by the Board of Supervisors, and I just wanted to thank Supervisor Bone for his 9 years of service as a member to this board and all the incredible work that he's done. But I'm really pleased to join you as a full member at this time and look forward to working with everybody.
Great.
Welcome. Okay, so let's call the meeting to order. And I'll go ahead and take roll. Representative Meredith Matthews,
Here.
Member Elaine Hogan,
Here.
Steve Madrone,
Here.
Frank Wilson.
Here.
And haven't seen Robin arrive, so we'll just see if he comes in. All right. With that, we'll move to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine by the HWMA board and will be enacted upon by one motion unless a specific request for review is made by a board member or member of the public. The consent calendar will not be read. There will be a separate discussion of these items unless pulled for discussion. Would anyone like to pull an item from the consent calendar? Hearing none. Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion?
You need to make a motion. I'll come back.
I would move approval of the consent agenda. This is Steve Madrone.
I'll second. This is Meredith Matthews.
I don't want you to screw up.
Hey, we have Steve Madrone and Meredith Matthews in the motion. All in favor? Just
Aye.
go- Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Great. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Motion passes unanimously with Robin Smith absent. Okay, and we'll move on to oral and written communications. This time is provided for people to address the board or to submit written communications regarding matters not on the agenda. Board members may may respond to statements, but any request that requires board action will be referred to you. Reasonable time limits may be imposed on both the total amount of time allocated for this item and on the time permitted to each individual speaker. Such time allotment or portion thereof shall not be transferred to other speakers. Are there any members of the public who wish to make oral or written communication at this time?
Leslie, I'm seeing none.
Okay. Seeing none, we will close oral and written communications and move on to item number 4, which I believe Director Fuller has been postponed, but I'll go ahead and read it since it's on my agenda. Receive fiscal year 21 audit update from Jamie Cressetti, CPA.
Yeah, that's actually, she's on.
Oh, okay.
I'm here, but I'm not going to talk about the audit. I was just going to talk about what I've been doing at the authority for the last 6 months or so, and just kind of catch you up on where things are financially.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So I got a call from Jill in July asking me if I could step in once Tyler left to just kind of hold things together and keep the books updated until they hired a new finance director. And I did so, not realizing what I was getting myself into, but so anyways, I came there and realized that the software was very, very, very outdated, and that a lot of things in your books were being done by hand. And I wasn't, like, I've been a government auditor for years and years and years. And so I struggled. I struggled with trying to make ends meet, but I did. I kept it together. We reconciled the banks. We got the books together for the audit. We hired Tracy, who I think is going to be a huge asset to you guys. She is very bright and very great to work with. And so anyways, long story short, we did the audit. The audit is ready. We did get an unmodified opinion, which is what we wanted. So that's good. And so, but I did, since we had so much transition and we have a new executive director, a new finance person and everything, I just thought it was a really good time to switch accounting software. And so we pulled the plug on 1/1 and we converted to QuickBooks, and we simplified your chart of accounts. Everything now is going to be automated, you know, the bank reconciliations, the credit card reconciliations, the posting from CompuWay. We just have all kinds of new policies and procedures in place. And I think that the result is that we're going to get timely, accurate reporting. So that's my spiel. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I think the audit will be next month where that's issued.
Thank you. And thank you for all of your earnest work on that. Are there any questions? Elaine?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you. It sounds like it was a lot of work and very necessary. So thank you for jumping in there.
Thank you.
I'm just curious. It sounds like there are a lot of policies and procedures that have been created and maybe some user how-to guides. And so I'm just curious if that kind of documentation has been created that will help with succession planning and onboarding of any potential new stuff that
that's
comes.
a great point. That's a great point. So we do need to document stuff. This is so new, and it was a very, very big undertaking. We're still really dialing in our chart of accounts to see what you really need. We were finding that your old general ledger had names of chart of accounts that didn't even match what was being posted there.
Right.
So it's very new. It's going to be a big transition, but yes, ultimately it definitely should be documented, and big changes.
Yeah, we're still working out the kinks on the new system and actually still getting it up to speed, because we had to kind of cut off the old system and we're having to bring over the numbers, and because it's kind of a mid-year fiscal year. So we're definitely still dialing in how we're doing things and training and learning all at once. And but I'm very confident that by the end of this fiscal year, obviously, hopefully by the end of this month, actually, that we'll have some more things completely dialed in.
Yeah.
And being able to produce some meaningful financials. However, having the budget and all of that being adopted pretty, and within the next several months and putting that all into the new system, I just really see that the reporting will really be the most effective starting July 1st of the upcoming year.
Yeah.
It really has been an enormous transition. I mean, obviously I'm new, Tracy's new, and I'm going to echo the thanks that have already been sent around. I didn't know the great Jamie Corsetti. I only knew her through Jill's mention, and she's indeed fantastic at her job. And Jamie, thank you for all that you've done. And Tracy is equally, I honestly, I've seen a lot of people that say they can do accounting that really have no business trying to do accounting. And these two are not those. These two really are very professional. And they're almost scary when you put them in a room and let them work together, because they do as much as they laugh, they do twice as much work. And I couldn't figure out which, but they really got it done. And my thanks to both of you. Tracy and I are going to work very hard to have clean financials. I've always been a person that thought if you're going to present a financial report, it shouldn't be something you have to agonize over. It should be clear, it should be concise, and it should be consistent. And we're working hard toward that. So thank you both for that. Much appreciated.
And I have to totally give a huge shout out to Jamie because she's been a lifesaver completely. So thank you so much. And we'll continue to work together.
Yeah. All right. Well, you all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Jamie.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you.
Oh, all right. Bye.
I guess this is just an update, so we don't necessarily have to have a public.
Correct.
And so we'll just.
That is correct.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Tracy. We will move on to item number 5, receive presentation on commodities market and shipping from Bo Duong, Recology Commodities Marketing Manager.
How about if I start us out by introducing me again to the board, and I'll introduce Bo. I'm Linda Wise. I'm General Manager of the Recologies that are in Humboldt County. There's 3 right now. One of the things we do for our community is we process the recycling that's produced in much of the Humboldt County. When we're talking about recycling processing, there's a lot that goes into it, and Bo is here to talk about markets and transportation issues. But there's when we're developing costs, this is one big item that goes into developing the cost for recycling processing fees. And believe it or not, we're already getting into our 3rd round of developing those fees. We had a 10-year contract. We're already up to 3 years into it. There's one thing that I'll always talk about with recycling processing is there's a huge opportunity for all of our areas to try to reduce contamination of the recycling when using the blue can, and it's certainly worth doing. But this is one of the issues that really don't have much control about, and Bo can talk more about that. Bo is our marketing and sales. He's with the marketing and sales. He's the one that finds markets for our recycling and arrange for transportation. And he can talk more about that. Bo, hit it.
Thank you, Linda. Can anybody hear me? Okay, that's good. Peter, are you able to help me with the slide?
Eric, do I need to do this or are you going to do it?
I will ask you to do it because because my screen doesn't show anything here. So
right. Hey, Eric, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have his slides or do I need to do this?
Yeah, he didn't send me the slides.
Okay, I can do that. If I send them to you, can you do the screen? You want me to do it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Apologies while we get this sent around.
Okay, while Peter and Eric try to help me with the slide, let me introduce myself to you all. My name is Bo Duong. I'm with Recology for 32 years. I've been working my way up. So right now I'm holding a position at marketing a commodity. I would love to talk to you guys all about what our challenge is for recycling and the shipping and the market and the home for our recycling.
Is it going okay with the slide transfer?
Did they come through, Eric?
Yeah, there you go.
Did it?
Great.
All right, Bo, you're up.
Okay, well, can you, today we are talking about recycling today. So can you slide to another slide for me? Okay, recycling industry was thriving before Chinese national short policy announcement in 2018. Now, I'm not sure if any of you guys have, kind know or heard about the Chinese national short policy.
I do.
Okay, so basically, in the past, before 2018, before Chinese national short enactment, basically everything that we produce in any MRF or any recycling plant was shipped to China. I want to say like 99% of that sent to China. And, for many decades, about 3 decades. Okay, so 2018, they kind of stopped the 24, commodity. So that what we're talking about. So basically, the impacting commodity would be mixed paper or mixed plastic or any low grade of the commodity. And after that, they banning the import of mixed paper and all the 24 commodity. South Korea, Taiwan, they kind of follow that footstep because they see a lot of material coming to their country, so they stopped that in May 2018. And so after that, we were talking about how all the Southeast Asian countries respond to the abundance of recycling material and container, and how that is affecting the recycling industry, especially in USA. Eric, can you slide to the next one? Okay, and also now is how COVID-19 impact the shipping industry. And Shipping Life, formed the alliance. We will talk about that. And then because of that, vessel delay, booking to cancellation, and a shortage of equipment. So we're going to talk all about this. So Eric, can you slide to the next slide for me? Okay, let's get back to the beginning. And when China, before 2018, China is the biggest recycling raw material consumption in the world for at least 3 decades. There was about 7 to 10 million tons of recyclable that were imported to China annually. Okay, paper mills and new technology enabled the mill to tolerate higher level of prohibitive. With high level prohibitive allowing in the recycling bales, it helped us in our recycling program. They got a slogan at that time, is like, if you bale it, they buy it, meaning that recycling was, China was so want and so hungry for recycling stuff. So they will literally take anything, even really high in, prohibitive and other stuff, they will take it. So in 2014, because of the allowance of the prohibitive in the recycling bale was so high, and so there is the spike in environment problem in China. So in 2014, China implemented in a grand fence policy to enforce the stricter quality of recycling import. That policy is really not a effective. So basically, just for the first couple of months, things get really tough, but then after that, everything falls apart. So essentially, that policy kind of fell to the crack. So June 1st, 2017, China announced to the world that they will ban the first 24 low grade of recycled material import to a country at the beginning of 2018. But at that time, the pattern of what we see what Chinese, government do is they say something, they say they're going to enforce this and that, but they never follow through, or they only do halfway, they kind of fall to the crack. So no, at this time when they announced that they're going to ban mixed paper and all that stuff, no one really believed it. Even their own people, which is the paper mill in China, do not believe that. So therefore, no one prepared for the ban. So when it's come on January 1st of 2018, the actual ban and act on the 1st of January 2018 really give us, it curtail every one of us. Paper mill wouldn't get anything. Meanwhile, in United States and the world, when we have the commodity that where China banned, it now we have no home to go and nowhere to go. So because of a lot of people don't believe what China does. So even though when they say January 1st, they will ban importing a certain commodity, people still be in the belief that they would not do it. So a lot of cargo was still going to China until very close to January 1st of 2018. So when they almost get there, so a lot of buyers now have to divert all those shipments to the neighboring country, which is the Southeast Asia, like Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and Taiwan. So anyway, so that, and then Taiwan and South Korea see that potential a problem for them because now a lot of unqualified recycling material that go into their country. So they hurry up and kind of ban all of the low grade, like the mixed paper or the mixed plastic go in their country. That's the two countries that follow the Chinese footstep really quickly. So after that, Indonesia is implementing the enforcing the strict policy with 0.5% 0.5% impurity of the material, and also they implement into like a live load or full live load inspection. What with full live load inspection is mean that if we have any shipment that go to Indonesia, they will have to have inspector come to our yard, inspect every bale that we put in a container. That called full inspection. Okay, and Vietnam and Thailand completely banned on all plastic by the September of 2018, but not the paper, just the plastic. Malaysia also implement on enforcing strict import policy because now there's a lot of things that go into this country, so they need to act on something really quickly. So Malaysia have put out, the inspection, but not to the point that what Indonesia have like a full inspection. But what they do is they have the custom officer at the port randomly open container and check on that. If it's good, they allow to get in. If not, then we'll have to recheck the shipment. So all Southeast countries, such as Indo, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, port are very bombarded with all the abandoned container. Let me step back on that abandonment of the container because a lot of people do not believe of what Chinese government going to do, even they announcing that they're going to ban a certain commodity. A lot of shipment is still going there. So at very close to that day, so they can know for sure the Chinese government going to do that. They divert all those shipments to the neighboring country, and the problem is that all this country in Southeast Asia, they don't have a way. I would want to say the check and balance to making sure all the shipment go there with the proper documentation. So if they don't have that, and so kind of everybody can just go in there, just dump the container there. So that create a whole craziness for them because now the port have a lot of container that no owner. First of all, and second, if their owner, they pull it out, then it become a lot of, illegal stuff that they're going on there. So like, for instance, the plastic import, just talking about plastic only, Thailand have seen the increase of 150% or more at the beginning of 2018. And Vietnam have about 250% increase of their plastic import. And Indo and Malaysia is about 300 or more percent of the import into that country. And there's no way that the processing plant there will be able to handle all that stuff. So what happened is the original owner of those containers, that because now China bans it, and they went to they go into Malaysia and Indonesia, they go to the farmer and rent the land. So when they rent the land, their intention is just store it there until they find a way to process that, because this is all money we're talking about. Even to look at plastic, they bought it, so this cost them money, so they have that money. So they want to store this material and process it later. But before they get a chance to do anything, government cracking down. So a lot of them, they have no choice but either dump it into landfill or illegally burn it. So that's why we have a lot of issues there. So anyway, so to me, that this country, they handle this crisis very poorly. So yeah, so they handle this crisis really poorly, and many shipment that of this container without paperwork. And so what happened is now nobody claimed this container, so it sit there for a long time, and no one claimed it. And I believe now still have thousands of containers throughout all the port in this country that's still sitting there waiting, to the government get auction it out or do something with it. But right now, no owner, because they can't even trace back to who sent it there. So that's the problem there. And in 2021, China announcing that they would now ban completely all recyclable material that come into their country. But this time, it doesn't really have a really huge impact on it, because most of the paper mill in China now that have moved out to China and then build their own mill there, or joint venture with the existing paper mill in all the Southeast Asia country. So it's impacting, but it's not, really impacting. So therefore, it's not as bad as 2000 when China saw a national soil act. Part of it is that, that because people are prepared for it, and so forth and so on. And also, for MRF is that we now know that we cannot produce any more dirty bales. So a lot of us, a lot of recycling company, a lot of MRF now invest into a lot of different equipment so that they can store the material a lot better or less prohibitive in it. So many recycled material that one we can bales and market it now is landfills. For example, like plastic 3 to 7, 3, 4, 6, 7. There is actually no market for it. The only number 5 that have market. So a lot of time, a lot of MRF that pull out the PV5, which is the number 5. Plastic to recycling, but they have to landfill 3, 4, 6, and 7. So that's a lot of them that being landfill. And also because of the pricing is so low, because it's the abandoned material in all the Southeast Asia, so price drops really badly. Even in the Bay Area or in the West Coast of the United States, we are really close to the port. And so we're able to kind of handle, survive through the price dropping, the price plummeting. But for the Midwest, city or state, they have to abandon their recycling program because it's cost them a lot of money to bring it out here to ship on the container. So a lot of them are not even doing the recycling, or they will only do it very limited commodity like cardboard, and number 1 plastic, and number 2 plastic, and that pretty much on their recycling program. Nothing else that they want they can recycle for this system or for this counting. So once again, many of this material, one is the trading commodity, now have no value or very little values, and some of them we have to put it in the landfill. So the next thing I'm talking about, the Basel Convention amendments. The Basel Convention amendments is the international organization that who preventing, at the beginning of this organization become about is that they preventing hazardous waste shipping from a rich country to a poor country. But now because plastic is in everywhere, plastic in the waterway, plastic in the ocean, so they put the amendments onto this organization to make sure that there is no plastic shipping out from one country to the other country. For the Basel Convention, in this world, it's about 197 countries. 193 countries will join in to be a member of the Basel Convention. United States is not. We never been in, so technically we can still ship our plastic to whatever country that they want to buy from us, at the status quo. But because Recology is the good citizen of corporation, we step in, we support that. We are not ship and export make any plastic to any country besides United States only. So that will limit us for the market of some of our plastic. But that's okay. That's what we have to do, because it's better to take care of here than we have to create problem to other country. Now we are talking about Taiwan already. We talk about that they are already banning the mixed paper. They still accept cardboard, and then Indonesia, they are still tightening up the impurity of the recycling products. But I think now it's a little better. They increased to 1% instead of 0.5%. Vietnam is completely banned mixed paper at the beginning of this year, 2022. Malaysia is implementing a new policy to either ban mixed paper import or require 100% LILO inspection, just like Indonesia. Currently, it's only Myanmar, Thailand, and India allow mixed paper import. So as you can see, some of the commodity now getting smaller marketplace. And so that is a challenge for us to find a home for it. So all plastic commodity are shipped in the United States and just to the local processor. But again, anything that, because the cost of labor here is very expensive, so the commodity that we ship, anything that in locally, it have to be very clean. It's not, they only allow like 1% maximum for prohibited in there. Eric, can you slide it up for me? Okay, COVID-19 impact. Okay, as we all know, COVID-19 outbreak concurred in context of sluggish global trade and economy that have been dragging on since pretty much December 2019 when it started in China. Okay, the rapid spread of COVID pandemics and the measure taken by the government to contain the spread have a serious consequences for the world major economy. Many productive activity have been disrupted. First of all, that happened in Asia, and then in Europe, and in North America, and the rest of the world. And there have been a widespread of border closure, as we all know. At the beginning, is a lot of border closing and so forth and so on. Even to today, it's a lot of borders still closing. The restricted movement and social distancing to slow down the spread of the disease mean that labor supply shortage, transportation and travel are today directly affecting in a way that no one have really expect or even seen it before. As the result, COVID pandemic is a huge contribution to the global shipping industry issues and will likely to continue to impact until enough people are vaccinating. The second wave of pandemic in Southeast Asia, I'm not sure if you guys hear that, but in May, India have so many fatality that because of Delta, and they really kind of completely, stop everything there and try to, control the disease there. And that moved from India to all the Southeast country and part of, the south part of China too. And so with that, was a lot of chaos, a lot of, shorthanded, and then slow turn in, like shipping, like container, like when the vessel come in, normally take a couple of days for them to offload and loading the container. Now it takes weeks for them because there is no people working. And also if the people working, it seems like a hybrid because they cannot have all 10 people in the office, may have only 2 or 3. So that slowed down the process. And so when they slow down the process at one port, it would affect another port because now vessel is not going to be arrived on schedule. Okay, so can you slide up for me one more time, Eric? Okay, so now we're talking about shipping issues here. There have been many challenges in recycling industry since the pandemic start. Okay, shortage of labor is one of them, and the slow around loading and upload cargo due to social distance, which I just mentioned earlier. Vessel skipping is very common this day because many vessels do back to Asia. This one right here is that because normally the vessel schedule into any port, it will take them between 2 to 3 days for offload and loading and go. Now, because of pandemic, short labor, and also the social distancing, so there is not enough people to work in there. Therefore, it takes them a week or 2. And so when they're a week or 2 like that, everything got powered up. And when they power up, and then they could not really get the vessel on time to anywhere. So what happened is that when the vessel not get to whatever location on time, sometimes they have to go back to, and the shipping line have to make a decision on to see what route that they make the most money out of. So unfortunately, the route that they make more money is not from North America to Asia, but from Asia to North America. So a lot of time what they do is they just take the vessel back to Asia instead of load anything, allow us to export anything on that vessel to bring it Southeast Asia. We cannot take too long. They always, wasting them a lot of time here already. So that become a challenge for us. So vessel delay also due to the heavy congestion. It's just because of they're not able to offload and load the ship fast enough. So everything power up at the port, and so they become very congested. And shortage equipment also play into role with that, is that because if you don't unload anything or unload anything fast enough, therefore people could not bring to their well and offload the cargoes or the good, then you don't have empty to load for the export. Shipping line now, because all the problem that occurs, shipping line think that probably was the best for them to save their vessel by forming alliance. So for say, you get shipping line A, B, and C. Normally you have 3 vessels that come into the port, say Oakland port, that 3 of them coming in during the week, right? But because now they all combine to one, first of all, they will save them money for other overhead costs. And second, they free up their vessel so that they can, go other location to make more money on that. So when they doing that, it's good for them. They can save a lot of money, and they can also provide better, they think they provide better service to everybody because then they can hit all the destinations that they wanted to. So with that, it probably worked for them, but not for the shipper like us, because now we only have 1 vessel. Let me give you an example of that. For say, if we have A and B and C shipping line that come into the port. So say the A shipping line come in on Monday, leave on Tuesday, right? So he's having now, looking at the A shipping line, getting everything and work with them. And then tomorrow, like Wednesday and Thursday, then we have, the B vessel, the B shipping line that we can work on. And then Thursday and Friday, we get to C. So we have, we can ship throughout the week, 5 days a week, versus now that because they are all aligned to each other, the vessel only come in here like 2 days. So we only be able to doing, load shipping anything onto that vessel from, for 1 or 2 days. And then the rest of the week, we don't have anything else to do, anything else to ship on. So that become a problem for us, and that become a challenge for us to get rid of the recyclable material, or our customer, they get a hard time to receive their material so they can keep running their mill. So that come into, because now if less vessel come in, so everybody try to get in the vessel. the vessel will be overbooked, and therefore booking cancel left and right. I mean, it just go crazy. But meanwhile, the ocean freight is still going up and up. So for example, like this, in the past, we ship a container from here to China. Okay, it's about $100 to $150 container. That was cheaper than what actually to China. And then we go and then I go back to Southeast Asia, probably like 300 maximum to go there. But now each container, now we don't ship anything to China, recycle in China anymore. It's going to be going directly to Southeast Asia, but it costs us $2,000 to $2,500 per container. That's like 10 times more than what they usually cost us. Okay, so and then, but now that from North America to Asia, now from Asia or China that come to America, it used to be about $4,000 per container to get, to export it from Asia to here. Now minimum cost you $20,000. The price have going up incredibly crazy. Okay, well, that and LA and the Long Beach port is a gateway for all the import container from Asia to North America, and Oakland is the last port for calling out of the West Coast of America. So, with that, now we can see a lot of vessels skipping Oakland, because when they get to LA, Southern California port, if they're congested and they wait for so long and they don't want to come up to Oakland because they need to go back to Asia, so that's where they make the most money out of it. So when they go back there, they take all the empty with them. So they're not allowed to give us any booking so we can use, or they not allow us to to get a booking from them. So with that, it's just like seems like it's a normal thing now in the West Coast, that where we all bombard with get a hard time to get a booking to ship our stuff. The blockage in Suez Canal by the Evergreen vessel in last May, it not helping the situation. Actually, it would create more problem. I don't think we even recovering that from that event yet, because right now in the Los Angeles and Long Beach port, there is almost 100 vessels waiting on the San Pedro Bay to come into port, because it's so congested at the port, and everything was so slow. So everything kind of backed up a little bit. Everything will back up really badly. Okay. So can you slide up on that one more to another? Okay. All right. So here, this is another problem that we have here is China have not only banned all recycling import to its country, but they also banned all recycling transit to their port. I'm not sure if you guys know, but most of the Southeast Asia port is too small, and they are not not equipped to a mega vessel. So therefore, everything that we ship to Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, have to go transship it somewhere, either from Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, or Singapore. And then also that not many vessels go directly from here to this country. So therefore now China been banned all the recycling transshipment there. It's really hurting us now, because now there's a lot of vessel, a lot of shipping line would not take the recycling material because they have nowhere to transship it to get into the last destination. So that really not good for us. Another issue is that there's not many ships that go directly into calling for this port. So that come with the issue that we have here is the booking and the loading issues. Vessels often overbook, okay, and also when they overbook and when they get to a certain level the booking started to cancel. And when they cancel, they're not notifying you. You only know when they cancel when the driver take the container to the port at the window to tell them that booking that they could turn the container there. Where that's when we know when the booking get canceled. And also because of so many delay, the ERD is early return day for the booking keep changing. Also the cutoff day of the booking keep changing. So very hard for us to do. Sometimes they changing the ERD onto the same day after cutoff day. So basically you have about 5 to 6 hours to turn in whatever, 4 hour turn in whatever container you have at hand. So that's become a very challenging for all the shipper. And also due to the port congestion and space constraint at the port only allow you a day or two maximum for the loading time. Versus when everything before COVID, they allow you 5 days to work on it. Now only a day or two because they have no space in there. Now we go. Can you, Eric? Can you slide up a little? Okay, so now we're talking about the local issues here now. Vessel is often omit and or delayed in Oakland Port because we're the last of the call out for the West Coast. So if they in a pinch to go back to Asia or China, they will go back because that's where the money in the making at. And so and also because they waiting so long at the port of Long Beach in LA, sometimes they just take off the way that it is and they take the empty container with it. And so therefore we, just for instance, like in November and December of last year, normally we will have like 40 to 50 vessels that come to Oakland in any given month. In November, it's only 15 vessels coming in. And in December, only 12 vessels coming in. The last 2 weeks of December, really hardly anything coming into the port so that we can load. So we have to really transfer our recycling stuff down to LA. It's cost us like an arm and leg because it's like triple, quadruple of what we already paid for the freight in, from here, from whatever location in Wiccachi to the port of Oakland. Shipping line is also doesn't really give us our booking because their vessel is normally overbooked and the limits of their time for loading is keep changing, and sometimes they could cut the booking could cut off right in the middle of the day, which is really hard because we still have a container on the process, and therefore a lot of time when they cut off like this, we have, because the container is not returning, we have to pay for the demurrage charge. And that's cost a lot of money there. And also now they come up with the new regulation that normally if the chassis, any chassis they can put any container on and you can go out. Now you cannot do that anymore. Chassis have to be according to the shipping line agreement with that chassis company, and you have to go there. So that creates a huge problem also because now a lot of short equipment on chassis or a container. And there is 3 terminals in Oakland. One of them that we need to make appointment to go in to return the full container. The problem with that is that we can make appointment, but the problem with that is that the appointment normally they don't have it like almost like a week away from you. Say if you want to make appointment for tomorrow, return the container, they don't have anything available until the week after, which is not going to work for us because the booking is only good for 2 or 3 days so we can work on. But if they are a week away from it, or too far away from it, it's not going to work. So that's another challenge for us. Driver, domestic driver because of the COVID, because of a lot of issues that arise. And so now it's really a hard time to get a driver to even work on pull-out container or drag a container out. The freight increase is due to the price increase, the fuel or freight price increase, and also the inflation. It's anywhere between 20 to 25% increase on each one of our load. So that will hurt our bottom line. Okay, Eric, can you slide one more up? Okay, conclusion, China used to be I want to say is a dumping ground for the world of recycling. But when 2018 come, they really curtail, the recycling program because it used to be they allow us to pretty much bail anything and ship to them and they'll take care of it. That's why the program is really successful because, we think everything recyclable. And a lot of people, I think that the blue bin is just to me, I call it a guilty bin. It's like if you don't want them, when you want to dump something away, if you put in the blue bin, somebody can recycle something. But, we all know it's not very true because a lot of things is not recyclable. But anyway, but people think they still recycle, so they dump in there. So until 2018, we can't really recycle a lot of things. So a lot of things that in the blue bin that we put, we recycle most of them, but a lot of them still at one point was a commodity, but now become a landfill items. So I think national enactments have put many recycling commodities become obsolete, like the plastic number 3, number 4, number 6, number 7. And also a lot of recycling market have dwindled now, especially if you look at the mixed paper that I just mentioned earlier on the presentation, a lot of countries starting to banning the mixed paper. So I think that market become very smaller, or I think it might be on the verge of obsolete in the future. So to me, personally, I want to say this though, we should be practicing reduce, reuse, and recycle. Recycling should be the last thing that on our list. And also, if we want to continue to be successful, I believe that we should have more of the recycling paper mills here in this country and the plastic processing plant in this country in order for us to successfully recycling everything that we have, that we produce here in this country. With that, I conclude my presentation and thank you. Let me know if you have any question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Dung, for that presentation. I do not envy your job. It seems very informative. Do we have any questions from the board?
No questions, but wow, what an eye-opening presentation. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we will continue moving forward from there. That lots to think about. And we'll move on to item number 6, standing item SB 1383 update. And I believe we have Mr. Neil Edgar here, but Peter, do you want to introduce him or the topic?
Yeah, I'm hoping we have Evan. Is it Evan or Neil?
Evan Edgar line. I'm using Neil's account.
Yeah, I thought you were being sneaky that way. I thought you looked like the same guy, but folks, this is Evan Edgar, who's the consultant, and it's Edgar and Associates that HMA contracted with specifically to lend his expertise, which is vast and no small amount, in all realms of solid waste and government and regulations and such, to take the promulgated law that's SB 1383 from the realms of the legal realm and put it on the street. And he's helping us do that. We had successful rounds of meetings last week with some of you, and I'm going to let him take it away now.
Oh, thank you, Peter, and board members. I had a great time in Humboldt County for 4 days last week. Really enjoyed myself. I've been coming up there for 30 years. And I want to stay forever. So I had a really good time. Peter, how much time do I have to kind of gauge my time so I can slow my roll, or how much should I get into?
10 minutes.
Okay, I'd love to do that. So Edgar Associates is proud to be representing authority. We have five different tasks. Task 1 is compliance roadmap, and there's a lot of compliance going on with a calendar. So Erica has been great. You don't have a calendar, a master calendar. We hope to share with all stakeholders so we know the process over the next year, all the key dates. And then plus we're going to have we have a Dropbox file with all the different documents we are producing. And we have a lot of good information to start from, a lot of great history that the authority has, and we're building upon that to implement 1383. So task one is a compliance roadmap, and we hope to have that a draft back to you on February 16th. I hope to be a standing issue every one of your monthly meetings, and then we're striving to, next time I come up, to be part of the local task force when you guys meet in person. We're trying to schedule that.
Absolutely.
Task two is organic processing and collection. There's a lot there. We met with both haulers, both with Ecology and with Humboldt Sanitation. Both are impressive and ready, so it was good to go by those facilities. Task three is edible food recovery. And we're trying to schedule 2 to 3 weeks out, hour and a half, 2-hour webinar where we've, my practice leader, Monica White, and with Abound wants to get all the players in one place and we can do a presentation. That's a very great program. We're proud to be representing edible food recovery in Yolo, Solano, and over to Napa. So it's a great program we're proud of, and we're going to kick that off in a webinar in a couple of weeks. Task four is about procurement, compost, mulch, renewable power, and how to use all the products that the city's got to buy back in the county. And the last is waste management structure. How do you pay for it all the fees and such. But we are definitely compliance driven, and we are actionable with our items. So I'm going to go through a lot of key dates over the next month that we're on. The first key date that already is active are the waivers. So each one of the cities should have filed, and we filled out the forms to share with the cities, but each of the smaller cities from Eureka, Fortuna, Riodale, Ferndale, Blue Lake, and Trinidad, they can do a waiver, and a low population densities of the county can get a waiver till 2027. 1383 doesn't go away, but you have 5 years. Some of the components are still in place. Edible food recovery, as well as some record keeping, are still in place. They still got to comply with as a smaller community and a rural community. But the Eureka, Fortuna, and Arcata, and the high density areas of Humboldt County need to comply. We're able to prepare a nice map. Eric has it, and we have it on the Dropbox. It shows very few high density areas of Humboldt County would need to comply from McKinleyville down along the coast, but most of the county is low density and would be exempt until 2027. So that's in play, and that's of record, and that those waivers should already be submitted, and we can facilitate as needed with each of the cities. We have good contacts at CalRecycle. Any questions that the cities have, we're here to help. The next key big date is February 1st. There's a local government grant available. Each one of those, everybody can get a minimum of $20,000. And the county as a whole, Humboldt County, get up to $92,000, Eureka $35,000, Arcata $23,000, and all the other jurisdictions at $20,000. This is a budget item that, with a surplus last year, $60 million was provided to CalRecycle to allocate back to local government based on a per capita level. You get your $20,000 as a base, and then you build upon it on a per capita. Those applications are due February 1st, and we made our rounds, and we talked to that last week to the people we met with. And with any grants, there's a lot of strings attached. It's due, they issued it at the beginning of the year. It's due February 1st. There's round one funding and there's round two funding. And round one funding is that you have to have a commitment to adopt a SB 1383 ordinance by April 1 to get round one funding. I talk about the ordinance later. And there's a lot of flexibility how to use the money, but with flexibility comes accountability. It's good for 2 years, from April 1, 2022 to April 1, 2024. So over the 2-year window, you got to supply reports every 6 months on how the money was spent. And you have to have a documentation. So there is some strings attached to this money, but it's definitely earmarked for 1383 programs, from edible food to procurement to programs to buying carts. A lot of flexibility. You got to check the boxes. That money's there, and we have the different, and we're here to assist. And we have the different in order to get those grants in by February 1, and then for round 2 for people who want to adopt the ordinance. I stopped there for a second for any questions about, getting the money to Humboldt County.
Just quick question. Do you need anything from us through our cities to do that?
Yes, you got to fill out, you have to adopt a resolution, which is tough to get on a calendar in short notice. And you have to have a commitment to have an ordinance, and you have to fill out the form. And so we can assist on that. But getting a resolution adopted, and there's a sample a resolution available that's very one page, but you definitely have to get it on your city council agenda, adopt a resolution with a commitment for an ordinance and a budget. There's a little check the boxes, how you want to spend the money, just as a budgetary placeholder. And then you got to report every 6 months on how that money is spent. So resolution, and we have a sample resolution we have provided, and we can give you links to the CalRecycle homepage, and we can help fill out the forms. So we got time and money. 1383 is a big lift. We got a late start up in Humboldt. A lot of people in the Bay Area and elsewhere I've been representing. We've been working on it for a while, so we have a really good case study. But and we're going to have a compliance roadmap, a draft out on February 16th. So there's a lot of parts, but we definitely want to get a schedule out on what to do. And it looks like because of SB 619, and we helped push that bill last year with local government, we bought a year. So what SB 619 does, there was a workshop earlier today, and I sent it out that a lot of people attended. You have to have a notice of intent to comply with 1383 and have a schedule. With basically, you get out of jail free card for a year. There'll be no administrative penalties. You state that you're going to be doing this program, and all the programs can be punted basically until the first of the year, 2023. So we have a 1-year phase in, so we can work on this together on all the organic collection and processing programs, work with all haulers, work with Eric at the facilities on what we can do at the transfer station. We did some tours of all the transfer stations, so we have a lot of good ideas on what to do, on how to implement this program, not only on collection with the haulers. We met with Linda Weiss, and they have the best program ever, the Fantastic 3, that they implemented in San Francisco decades ago. And basically what CalRecycle says, if you do the Fantastic 3 and you implement it with good faith, with outreach, education, monitoring, and reporting, that's 1383. That 75% by 2025 is a statewide number. They're not going after anybody on a ton per ton, on measuring everything, not at the landfill, not at the city. What they want to do is that, hey, implement the 3-cart system, get it going, and with good education outreach, you are complying. So we can start that the 1st of January 1st, 2023, as part of this compliance roadmap and build towards that. We got to do a lot of outreach education. We have to design the programs. So there's a lot of work to do. And what this compliance roadmap I'm putting together on February 16th will help spell out the necessary steps, working with Peter and Eric and the stakeholders. And then we get to finalize that roadmap on April 2022. So I want to make a trip back up there with a local task force to talk about that compliance roadmap. What SB 619 does, it says that you have the schedule to phase in, and there's a resolution you have to adopt there too, and there's a form you got to fill out. And so it is a 1-year phase in, which is important to local government and the community to kind of phase it in correctly, take the time to do it right. So those are due March 1, 2022. Another report due on April 1, 2022 is an initial jurisdictional compliance report. And basically what it says, submit what you have with regards to the key contact for each jurisdiction. What is your generator list? There's a commercial generator list that we had to implement on a previous law that Senator West Chesbrough passed back in 2014. It was called AB 826. And that was kind of like the starter program. And a lot of people did it in the Bay Area and elsewhere, where you had to have the phased in the commercial waste generation, but there wasn't too much teeth to it. It was more of it was a good starter idea, What 1383 did was take the West Chesborough law from 2014 and adopt some regulations, have some mandates, and do some enforcement. So, so it kind of, and it makes it real. So we met with Recology. They have a good list, and we'll be using that for each of the jurisdictions. We'll need to submit that, as well as what to do with plastic bags. It's kind of like a survey by CalRecycle is, you know, what is your plastic bag program within the community? So that report is due April 1, 2022, and that's called the Initial Jurisdictions Compliance Report. That's our focus over the next 3 months, and just get Humboldt County into compliance with a roadmap, with ideas, and we're here to facilitate it. What we're used to seeing under AB 939, the recycling law, was called a good faith effort. And now it's been around since 1990, and the CalRecycle find a few people. Now they have a thing called a substantial effort, and you have to make more than good faith. You have to put time, money, resources into it. COVID excuse is real, and that's how we bought a year with SB 619. So a substantial effort gives time. It can even go past 2023. Say we can't get the permits done in time. You know, we have to change some permits around on at the transfer station to how to receive the commingled green waste and food waste. So there's some permitting things that we could do. So we're not half started by the first of 2023, but with a substantial effort and with permitting, we get to spell that out. And that's basically task number 2 is organic processing and collection. When we took around the meetings, we wanted to do 3 things with food waste. Definitely, we're going to allow everything possible to have a backyard composting, up to 1 cubic yard with proper training and with proper facilities, and even a certification. And we have a lot of case studies from other jurisdictions that say, hey, you can opt out if you have enough space and you go through the training and you do backyard composting, continue on. That should be good enough. Another aspect is, another example is we're combining this community composting. Talking to Ferndale, they had a lot of good ideas. That was right off the bat, I was impressed with a city manager. This was on it with regards to ideas about community compost. You can do up to 100 cubic yards on that. And there's examples of how to do that in order to have the food waste go to those community compost facilities. And upcoming, there's a $3 million grant coming up from CalRecycle for community compost. And then the big deal, well, another level is under compost is agricultural composting with clean green material. We met with West Green, great facility to have that. And we want to make sure that all your green waste stays within Humboldt County. And I've been working on a lot of carbon farming projects. I looked at your crop report, and you guys have a lot of good rangeland. And I worked in Marin on that carbon project, and I implemented one in Yolo County, and I have one going on, and I was up in Amador County in Sacramento today, and we have carbon farming there where small scale compost up to 12,000 cubic yards, no food waste, but the clean green can go out to the farm, compost there. We still got state minimum standards, and we got things we got to comply with, of course, but we make compost on the farm and use it on the rangelands. And it's great for water retention and watershed management, 30% absorption of the water, less erosion, and better yields for the cattle feed. So carbon farming is a big deal. I think there's a lot of hope for that. And that's a great way in order to keep organics within Humboldt County. And then the trick will be, of course, commercial food waste, and how do we get the residential food waste for where in the urban areas where it does apply for mandatory collection and where people aren't doing backyard composting, is how to take the residential food waste with a commercial food waste and find a program for that. There was a lot of work done in 2010 on anaerobic digestion and wastewater. There's and wastewater plants. There is another workshop on next week on January 18th where CalRecycle has $10 million available to do anaerobic digestion with food waste at wastewater plants. It's going to be highly competitive. There's going to be a lot of people going after it, but it's an example of money's available. The governor released his budget on Monday, and there's a new $65 million coming to CalRecycle on top of the $270 million. So some of the surplus money that has been allocated will come down to implement 1383 infrastructure. So I've been reading the 2010 report about how to do anaerobic digestion at wastewater plants and how to make a slurry. So one of the options, working with Eric and looking at some opportunities to have organic processing buildings, is how to take this commercial food waste, and it's pretty sloppy. It's messy stuff, even with best management practices and the restaurant stuff needs to be cleaned up. So how to make that slurry and maybe go to local wastewater in order to do anaerobic digestion. So I'll be bringing that back as part of the, I'll be investigating that and report back on the February 16th on my compliance roadmap. Would be putting that all in an action plan as a draft action plan that we get to look at and then finalize that by April 16th, 2022. That's task 1 and task 2 are the big ones. And task 3 is edible food recovery with a webinar we want to do in a couple of weeks. And same thing when it was procurement. We talked about procurement and buying back compost and mulches and to the local community, and even brokering it out to the farmers. Sonoma County has a great example. Sonoma County Waste Authority can provide, and some of this money from 1383 can give an incentive to the farmer, $5 a ton, for them to use it out at the carbon farming, and the authority can manage that. So that's a good way if you can't use up all the compost within your Parks and Rec and Humboldt State Campus, so you can go out to the farm. So that's a procurement. So that's my 10 minutes. I wanted to kind of give you up to speed. Had a great trip. I want to come up again as soon as I can for the next local task force meeting. And we got some momentum, and we want to get you guys into compliance. That's my report.
Thank you. Thank you, Evan.
Thank you, Evan.
Are there any questions from board members?
I have a quick question. Evan, you said January 18th, is that Cal Recycle Workshop? Is that right?
Yeah, I sent out the link. This came out. Yeah, it's $10 million grant process, and my firm's great at getting grants. I mean, we got $3 million for Yolo County. I was a Yolo County engineer back in '91. I got it through an EIR in '91. It took me 30 years later to actually get composting, but
okay,
we got a $3 million grant there. But yeah, definitely that's January 18th.
All right, thank you. And thank you again for your good work. I agree. I think we had a great first round, and I'm very much a face-to-face guy. So, in today's COVID world, that's unfortunately somewhat curtailed, but, meeting and greeting is important. And I think you're well received, and I just look forward to success with all of this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Peter. And thank you, Eric. Eric's been a gem on
Eric is a gem.
I mean, he's impressive, and from facilities to everything about what Eric does for your authority is pretty stellar. So I like working with Eric in the facilities.
I would agree.
Thanks, Evan.
Thank you. Any questions from board members? Just want to double check. Okay. Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Nice report. Appreciate all the details, Neil. And I really appreciate that there's going to be some way that those that are actually keeping all their green waste and their compost on their own property aren't going to be penalized and charged a fee for doing the right thing, right? So I hope that actually comes through in all of the regulations. I sometimes wonder, with the way the state's going right now, the PUC on solar, for instance, people are doing all the right things, and now they're going to start charging them a monthly fee for their solar, right? And only allow them to produce 20% of what they used to. So you see those kinds of things happening. And while I totally understand there's a state level perspective, like with composting and green waste, that we really need to be dealing with, in no way do we, especially in Humboldt County, want to penalize people that are actually doing it all already on their own, because there is no cheaper and better way than doing it at the source, right? We all know that. And in fact, those that are doing it that way ought to actually receive some sort of incentive compensation for doing it, because they're not loading the system up, frankly, with all these costs and requirements. But hey, I'll take just staying neutral. So, and I produce about 2 cubic yards on my property per year. So I guess I'll go for the community approach where I could do 100 cubic yards rather than only one. But anyway, thanks for all your information, Neil, and doing the good fight for us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Evan? Mr. Edgar? Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your work tremendously. And yeah, look forward to seeing you on a regular basis.
Likewise.
We will continue moving forward to the executive director's report. And I'll turn it over to Director Fuller.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is my first board meeting, and I've been home all day feeling under the weather, and today's protocols demand, of course, that I investigate whether or not it's going to be COVID. I'll go on the record and say I've had 9 such tests, and all of them have been negative, but I'm going to have a 10th one tomorrow. So it is what it is. Thank you for making me feel so welcome. I have a very short report. I want you to know that I'm about 3 things when it comes to what we do in the world of solid waste. The first is safety. I will not compromise that, and that means the safety of the people on my watch, the organization HWMMA, but also means the safety of our customers, you all as board members, any constituent, any citizen. Trash is a very difficult, challenging, not glorious, and dangerous trade. Whether customers or members of the public are in our plant or we're doing it ourselves, I will not compromise safety, and my directors know that. Secondly, my second priority is operational integrity, which to me is just you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. We live in a world that's crazy and full of all kinds of deceit, and I try to stay away from that. And that also means if we drop the ball, I will own it, and we will learn from it, and we'll move forward. But we do what's right because it's right, not because there's any other ulterior motive, as much as possible. And the third is transparency, which is a public entity, and certainly as board members, it is very important, and not just to you as the board, but to our public, to our business partners, myself with the people that Eric and others, the other directors, people work for me, but also with every member of the public. I want to take everything Jill did, and Jill did an absolutely fantastic job, very heavy lifting, building HWMA into what it is now. I could not be following on the heels of a better predecessor. I am not about changing for the sake of change. I don't believe in that. If we need to change, it's because it's necessary, and we will find the best and most productive ways to do that with the people that we have. But in doing so, there should be consistency across the board. If we say one thing and we can't follow through, then we'll make that apparent and work on it next time. So safety, integrity, and transparency. And I told myself I was going to be concise. I don't know that I was, but I will strive to ensure that most of my communications, when necessary, are bullet pointed, because I know you're all very busy and have other things to do besides sit on this board. But I'm grateful, and I feel very welcome, and I thank you all.
Thank you. It's great to have you here. I realized skipped the board member reports.
I wasn't going to say anything, but you're the chair.
Sorry about that. Do any board members have anything to report this evening? Okay. I just quickly, Robin Prasker and I are hosting a Wabash beautification and cleanup event on Saturday morning. So we'll be meeting in front of Express Personnel Services there on Wabash. Okay. And with that, we'll move on to adjourning this meeting. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Awesome.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone.